Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That urge you have been fighting, the one telling you to announce it, to share it, to finally let people see what God has been doing, silence it. The enemy is working overtime right now for one reason and one reason only. He knows money is moving in your direction, and he needs you to open your mouth before it lands. It all shifts in the next 24 hours. The provision, the breakthrough, the financial door you have been pressing against. But here is what is critical. It does not arrive for the people who announced it. It arrives for the people who protected it. Think back to that moment this week when something good started to stir in your spirit. A number came to mind, a door cracked open, an opportunity surfaced, and the first thing inside you wanted to do was tell somebody. Maybe you typed the message and deleted it. Maybe you picked up the phone and then set it back down. You did not know it then, but that restraint was not hesitation. That was wisdom activating. That was the hand of God covering what He has not yet finished building. You did not delay your blessing. You guarded it. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment, scheduled before the foundations of the earth, arriving at the exact moment your finances are shifting. You are standing at a threshold. Do not click away. Your future self is begging you to stay, because if you leave now, you walk out before you receive the one piece of understanding that changes how you carry every financial blessing that is coming to you. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the spiritual law that governs why silence protects wealth. I am going to walk you through the moment this week where your discretion became a shield over what God is releasing. And at the end, I am going to give you the declaration you speak over every financial movement in your life, the decree that seals the enemy out of your harvest. Stay until the very last second. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. There has been a tension in the atmosphere that you cannot quite name. It is not dread, it is not excitement, it is something in between, like standing at the edge of something enormous, feeling the weight of it before you can see it clearly. Maybe you received a small sign this week, a callback you were not expecting, a number in your account that shifted slightly, a conversation that opened a door you had stopped knocking on, and instead of peace, you felt a strange anxiety, like you were suddenly holding something fragile and one wrong move would shatter it. Or maybe you have been in a prolonged season of waiting, months, maybe longer, and something in the last few days has begun to feel different, not louder, but quieter. Like the storm stopped and you are not sure yet if it is over or if it is just the eye. You feel like you are on the edge of something, but you do not fully trust it yet. And in that space, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. He is telling you that the reason your blessings have been slow is because you have not claimed them loudly enough. He is telling you that you need to declare it publicly, announce it to your circle, post it, speak it into the atmosphere so people can witness it. He is replaying the testimonies you have seen, the celebrations, the announcements, and he is telling you that your silence is the reason the provision has stalled. He is telling you that God rewards the bold, and your quietness has read as doubt. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Proverbs 17:28 says, "Even a fool is counted wise when he holds his peace, and he who shuts his lips is seen as understanding." Listen to what that verse is actually saying. Wisdom is not always what you say. Sometimes wisdom is what you refuse to say. Sometimes the most powerful spiritual act you can perform is closing your mouth over something God has not finished forming. The enemy cannot steal what he cannot locate. And when you announce prematurely, you put a spotlight on a seed that has not yet become a harvest. You invite opinion into a moment that only required obedience. The lie that your silence is doubt, that is the trap. That is the strategy designed to get you to expose what heaven is still protecting. The stillness you feel right now is not stagnation. It is incubation. The quietness around your finances is not God being silent. It is God being strategic. The season you are in is not a delay. It is a protected formation. What you thought was you holding back out of fear was actually you operating in the spirit of discretion without even knowing it. You did not shrink. You sheltered what was being grown. That is not weakness. That is the posture of someone who is about to receive something so significant that premature exposure would have cost them everything. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now let that settle, because what I am about to walk you through is going to require all of you, not just your attention, your honesty. It will demand a quiet introspection, an unvarnished look at the landscape of your spiritual walk. Because the next few minutes are going to ask you to look at something you have been profoundly misreading, a foundational truth obscured by the clamor of a performance-driven world. Once you truly see it, with the scales fallen from your eyes, you will never misread it again, and your entire approach to receiving God's blessings will be transformed. This isn't merely information, it's a divine unveiling, a spiritual key to unlock the true rhythm of manifestation in your life. There is a spiritual law, as ancient as creation itself, that most people never encounter because they are too busy chasing the version of faith that performs, a superficial display that parades as power. They have been taught, often subtly, sometimes overtly, that faith must be loud, that breakthrough announces itself with trumpets and fanfare, that the bigger the declaration, the faster the manifestation. This prevailing narrative has led countless sincere believers down a path of exhaustion and disappointment. And so, they have spent years confessing with fervent volume, posting their desires for the world to witness, declaring their future as if speaking it into existence publicly could hasten its arrival, tagging their blessings before they were tangible, and testifying over things that had not yet finished forming in the crucible of divine timing. This performance of faith became an exhausting spectacle, draining their spiritual reserves. And then, when the expected harvest never materialized in the dramatic fashion they imagined, a profound and debilitating disillusionment set in. They searched for answers, blaming their own faith as if it were a flawed instrument, questioning their worthiness to receive God's goodness, or resignedly blaming God's timing as an unknowable, distant force. But the real answer, the profound truth that could have spared them years of striving, was buried in a sacred principle that almost no one teaches, a truth whispered by the Holy Spirit to those with discerning ears. There is a spiritual covering that only exists in silence, a sacred veil drawn around the nascent stages of a divine work. And when you, through impatience or fear or a misguided understanding of faith, remove that covering too early, you prematurely expose the delicate seed of your blessing before its root has gone deep enough into the nourishing soil of God's purpose to survive the harsh realities of the world. It's like pulling back the earth on a tender sprout, subjecting it to winds and heat it's not yet equipped to withstand. Think deeply about what happens in the natural world, in the rhythms of creation, when a seasoned farmer plants a precious crop. He does not, on day 3, when only the faintest stirrings are happening beneath the dark earth, stand proudly in his field and announce to all his neighbors the magnificent yield that is surely coming. He does not invite curious observers to come and scrutinize the barren-looking soil, expecting them to witness something visible. No, his wisdom dictates a far different approach. He protects that seed with utmost care and intentionality. He waters it quietly, often under the cloak of dawn or dusk, ensuring the conditions are perfect for unseen growth. He watches vigilantly for threats, for anything that might disturb the fragile development taking place below the surface. He meticulously keeps the soil's conditions right, the temperature, the moisture, the nutrient balance. And then he waits. He waits not because he harbors any doubt about the potential of the harvest, not because he lacks faith in the seed or the soil or the divine order of things. He waits because he profoundly understands that there is a sacred season, a critical phase, where the most important and transformative work is entirely invisible to the naked eye. The roots are deepening, the internal structures are forming, the very essence of the plant is being established in secret. And he knows, with an inherent wisdom passed down through generations, that the moment you make invisible work visible before it is fully ready, before it has garnered the strength to stand on its own, you inevitably put it at grave risk. You invite premature judgment, expose it to elements it cannot yet bear, and disrupt the delicate, miraculous process of becoming. Your finances right now, the very provision God is orchestrating for you, are in precisely that sacred ground. The abundance, the breakthrough, the doors of opportunity that are divinely appointed for you are in a crucial stage of formation, meticulously crafted beneath the surface of your current reality. And what the enemy, with his insidious cunning, has been desperately trying to do is convince you, tempt you, and even compel you to dig it up before it is truly ready to emerge. Understand this critical truth. He does not necessarily need to stop your blessing, for he lacks the ultimate power to thwart God's divine decrees. He simply needs to entice you to expose it at the wrong, ill-timed moment. Because exposure at the wrong moment, born of impatience or fear, does the very same irreversible damage as direct opposition. It violently interrupts the delicate, sacred process of divine manifestation. It invites the wrong eyes, eyes of envy, eyes of doubt, eyes that carry a spirit of skepticism or even ill will, none of which can nurture a burgeoning blessing. It rips open a spiritual door that was specifically intended to stay closed, guarded and consecrated until God himself, in his perfect and sovereign timing, swung it open with undeniable authority and power, revealing a fully formed and protected miracle. And here is where this spiritual insight goes even deeper, because this is not merely about silence for silence's sake, a passive withdrawal from life. This is about understanding the profound spiritual geography of a protected season, the specific, divinely appointed space where your miracle is being cultivated. It's about discerning the sacred boundaries and the unseen currents of God's active work in your life. Consider the timeless wisdom embedded in the ancient story of Ruth. When she found herself in a foreign land, a widow without provision or protection, it was Boaz, a man of wealth and integrity, who extended grace to her. He explicitly told Ruth to stay close to his field, to remain within the boundaries of his provision, and not to venture into another field where she might encounter harm or misunderstanding. He told her not to announce herself, not to draw attention to her vulnerability or her desire, but to simply follow where she had been placed, to trust the unfolding process that was already working on her behalf through divine alignment. And Ruth, a woman who had every human reason to press for immediate answers, to perform acts that would make herself known, to loudly declare her plight and her needs in the marketplace, chose instead to operate in a posture of profound, quiet faithfulness. She did not demand explanation for the divine favor she was receiving. She simply accepted it with humility. She did not shout her desperate need into the bustling marketplace. seeking pity or accelerated intervention. Instead, she stayed. She trusted implicitly in the whispered instructions. She moved only when she was told to move, aligning her steps with the subtle guidance she received. And by the end of that miraculous story, what she received was not just an abundance of grain to sustain her physical needs, but something far more profound and enduring. It was a divine covering, a new and honorable name, a powerful legacy that transcended her past, and a lineage that ran all the way to the very throne of David, eventually leading to Christ himself. Her season of silence was emphatically not a season of lack or stagnation. It was a powerfully potent season of divine positioning, a sacred incubator where destiny was being forged. Every quiet, obedient step she took, every moment of hidden faithfulness, was moving her closer and closer to a magnificent door she could not yet see, a door God was preparing to open in His perfect timing. That, beloved soul, is precisely where you are in this very moment. The profound quietness that may seem to surround your finances right now, the apparent stillness in an area of your life where you desperately desire movement, is not, I repeat, not evidence that nothing is happening. On the contrary, it is undeniable evidence that something too important, too precious, and too transformative to risk premature exposure is actively being positioned, being orchestrated, and being forged in the hidden realms of God's purpose. And the restraint you have been practicing, that inner whisper to hold back, to not rush to declare or expose, even unconsciously, has been a powerful act of spiritual alignment, an intuitive obedience that your logical mind might not have fully understood, but your spirit, connected to the divine current, instinctively obeyed. Your spirit understood the sacredness of the hidden work, the necessity of the covering. It is the wisdom of the soul responding to the wisdom of the spirit, ensuring your blessing arrives in its fullest, most potent form. But let me challenge you with something crucial, because this is where many sincere people, seeking to follow divine guidance, get comfortable in the waiting and inadvertently begin to drift into dangerous passivity. Silence in the context of this spiritual law is absolutely not the same as stillness, a cessation of all action. Discretion, the wisdom to guard what is forming, is not the same as detachment, an abdication of responsibility or engagement. You are emphatically not called to sit idly, hands folded, doing nothing while you passively wait on God's provision to miraculously drop from the sky without your participation. No, your calling is far more active and profound. You are called to be faithful in the unseen, to diligently steward what is currently in your hand, to walk in integrity in the quiet spaces where no human eye is watching. You are called to tend the seed, to nurture the potential, even when the ground appears outwardly bare and unproductive, even when there's no tangible sign of growth. The enemy, ever the deceiver, desperately wants to take this profound message of divine covering and twist it, using it as a deceptive tool to lull you into passivity, to make you believe that protecting your blessing means withdrawing from the active process of life, from diligent work, from wise stewardship, from consistent prayer. It does not. It means continuing to do the right things for the right reasons, with the right spirit, maintaining your integrity and your diligence, even when no one is applauding your efforts, even when there's no immediate reward or recognition. In fact, it is especially in those unapplauded moments of faithful, hidden labor that your character is forged, and your capacity to receive and steward the coming blessing is deeply expanded. And what is coming next will likely surprise you, piercing through conventional understanding, because this is a deeper layer of truth that most people, caught in the currents of external validation, never quite reach. There is something even more profound, more deeply rooted, beneath the temptation to prematurely announce. Something more insidious underneath the impulse to share your burgeoning blessing before its time has come. And it is not merely superficial excitement, a joyous overflow. It is not even primarily pride, though pride can often become a secondary symptom. When you trace this impulse all the way back to its raw, primal root, what you find, surprisingly, is fear. A very specific, deeply ingrained kind of fear. The fear that if you do not claim it publicly, if you do not declare it for all the world to hear, it might not actually be real. The haunting fear that if no one witnesses its arrival or its initial stirrings, it might mysteriously disappear, dissolving like a dream in the morning light. It's the profound, lingering fear that you have hoped before, believed with all your heart, and then been painfully disappointed. And this time, you need someone else's external acknowledgement, their affirmation, their witness, to make this new glimmer of hope feel safe, tangible, and secure. That, beloved, is the true root. And that deeply embedded root of fear is precisely what the enemy has been meticulously watering, cultivating and strengthening every single time he pushed you, through subtle whispers or overwhelming urges, to announce prematurely. He was not primarily appealing to your arrogance or your ego. No, he was far more cunning. He was appealing directly to your wound, to the raw, vulnerable part of you that has been hurt by hope before, the part that has believed with fervent passion, waited with grueling patience, and trusted with a pure heart, only to watch something precious fall through, slip away, or never materialize. And he knew, with chilling precision, that if he could just get you to perform your faith publicly, to seek external validation for an internal process, he would also be expertly getting you to outsource your security, your sense of reality, and your assurance in God's promise to a fickle and unreliable audience, instead of anchoring it securely and solely in the unwavering sovereignty of God Himself. Therefore, the people who are truly receiving and manifesting what God is releasing in this season are not the ones who posted the most updates or declared their intentions the loudest. They are the quiet warriors of faith. They are the ones who learned the sacred art of holding peace over their process, guarding it diligently like a spiritual shield, impenetrable to external pressures and internal anxieties. They are the ones who deliberately and consciously stopped needing validation that the blessing was real, tangible, or imminent before it had even arrived in its physical form. They found their conviction not in external affirmation, but in the steadfastness of God's word and the quiet assurance of the Holy Spirit within them. They are the ones who, when the subtle, tempting whisper came to expose and announce, to rush the process into the public eye, chose instead to intentionally go quiet, to retreat from the noise, and to go deeper into the secret place of communion with God, trusting His timing above all else. Their hidden fidelity is their greatest strength. Stay with me, because what I am about to share next is the critical insight, the missing piece that has the power to break this destructive cycle completely, transforming your understanding of breakthrough. There is a specific, pivotal moment in the life of every genuine breakthrough where the enemy makes his most aggressive, most sophisticated, and often most deceptive move. It is not, as you might expect, at the very beginning of the journey, when faith is fragile and hope is nascent. It is not even in the arduous middle of the wilderness, when weariness and doubt are at their peak. No, his most potent strike comes right before arrival. It is in the last stretch, the final leg of the journey, when the signs of impending breakthrough are multiplying, when the anticipation is building to a fever pitch, and everything in your spirit and soul is leaning forward, straining towards the finish line. That is precisely when he shows up with the most cunning and sophisticated version of his strategy. This is because he understands a fundamental truth. He cannot stop what God has already ordained. He has never been able to ultimately thwart the plans and purposes of the Almighty, but he knows, with malicious precision, that if he can just get you to mishandle the sacred moment of arrival, If he can provoke you into a single misstep right at the threshold, he can effectively diminish the fullness, the power, and the impact of what you are meant to receive. He aims not to block, but to corrupt or lessen the blessing. He accomplishes this by subtly yet powerfully accelerating your timeline in your own mind. He distorts your perception of time, making 24 hours feel like an agonizing 24 days, instilling a frantic sense of urgency. He makes you feel an overwhelming internal pressure, a desperate conviction that if you do not act, speak, or move right now, in this very instant, the window of opportunity will pass. The moment will be lost forever. He manufactures a false urgency, a deceptive panic that artfully pulls you out of your sacred posture of trust and into the desperate, self-reliant posture of control. And the very moment you shift from that place of quiet, surrendered trust to a place of anxious human control, you inadvertently step out from under the divine covering. You cease being a surrendered, open vessel through which God's grace can flow, and you start trying to be a manager, a planner, a manipulator of divine provision. And understand this truth profoundly. God does not need you to manage His provision, to orchestrate its arrival, or to control its unfolding. He needs you, above all else, to simply receive it with an open heart and a trusting spirit. Your management attempts only hinder the divine flow. This profound principle is exquisitely illustrated in the timeless story of Abraham on Mount Moriah, a journey of ultimate trust. God had already perfectly ordained the outcome, already made His provision, long before Abraham even took the very first obedient step towards that desolate mountain. The ram, caught in the thicket, the divinely appointed substitute, was already in position, meticulously placed by the hand of God, before Abraham even raised the knife in an act of staggering faith. The provision was already in position, the miracle already secured, even before Abraham's obedience was fully completed. But imagine for a moment the profound disruption that would have occurred if Abraham, at the base of that mountain, before embarking on his 3-day journey, had stopped and announced to his household, to his servants, to his neighbors, exactly what God had commanded him to do. The entire sacred journey would have been irrevocably disrupted. The very faith required for such a momentous act, the kind of faith that moves mountains and reveals God's heart, demanded an undisturbed, untainted path from the initial hearing of the divine command to its glorious, miraculous fulfillment. And that sacred path, from divine instruction to divine manifestation, had to be walked in a profound kind of holy quietness, an internal stillness that meticulously protected the miracle while it was still in transit, still unfolding, still under the sacred covering of God's unseen hand. Your miracle, beloved, is similarly in transit. The provision you have prayed for, the breakthrough you have longed for, is already in motion, speeding towards you on the wings of divine appointment. The door you have been pressing against, the one that seemed unyielding, is already unlocking. The tumblers falling into place, the hinges preparing to swing open. But it is, crucially, in transit. And anything in transit, especially something of such immense divine value, requires absolute protection. And that protection, right now, in this pivotal season, looks like profound silence. It looks like unwavering trust in the unseen hand. It looks like an unshakable refusal to let impatience, the hurried spirit of the age, or paralyzing fear, pull you out of your divinely appointed position in this final, most critical stretch of your journey. Hold your ground, guard your peace. And here is the part you probably did not expect, the profound, counterintuitive truth that truly reframes everything you have just received, shifting your perspective entirely. The people who are most profoundly at risk of prematurely exposing their blessings, of revealing the seed before it can truly root, are not the faithless, the skeptics, or those who barely pray. On the contrary, they are often the most faithful. They are the ones who have endured the wilderness the longest, who have traversed barren landscapes of waiting and longing. They are the ones who have prayed the most fervent prayers, believed with the most unshakable conviction, and trusted God with a depth that has been forged in the fires of adversity. Why? Because after such a long, arduous season of waiting, after years of pressing into God's heart for a breakthrough, the very moment something begins to subtly shift, the relief, the sheer, intoxicating rush of hope is so overwhelmingly powerful, so emotionally intense, that maintaining silence becomes the single hardest discipline of all. The louder, the more prolonged, the more painful the season of lack has been, the more powerful, almost irresistible, is the impulse to announce the turning of the tide, to declare the breakthrough, to shout it from the rooftops. And the enemy, with his ancient wisdom of human nature and his meticulous study of your individual journey, knows this truth intimately. He knows exactly how long you have waited. He knows the precise contours of your deepest longings. And he has been patiently saving his most powerful, most psychologically devastating weapon for this specific, critical moment. The moment when the answer is close enough to feel its warmth, to discern its coming, but not yet close enough to fully grasp and hold in your hands. Because he knows that if he can successfully provoke a premature announcement, a careless exposure right here, at the very edge of your breakthrough, the emotional crash that inevitably follows another delay, another setback, or a blessing diminished, will be the deepest, most soul-wrenching one yet, a wound that takes years to heal. But hear me now, beloved, you are not going to give him that victory. Not tonight. Not after everything you have already endured, every tear you have shed, every prayer you have whispered in the dark, every obstacle you have overcome to get to this sacred threshold. You did not survive the grueling wilderness, did not brave the scorching desert of waiting, only to stumble and fall in the doorway, to lose your footing at the very point of entry. You did not hold your peace, guarding your spirit through the parched desert of expectation, only to lose it in the lush, abundant garden of manifestation. No, this is your moment to finish strong, to walk in the fullness of what you have learned. What God is releasing over your finances in this season, what is currently in transit towards you, is not just provision in the form of material wealth. It is something infinitely more valuable. It is profound wisdom. It is the kind of deep, spiritual, financial stewardship that only comes to people who have been rigorously tested in the crucible of hidden places, who have been found trustworthy, not in public performance, but in their quiet, unseen faithfulness. The money that is coming to you, the physical manifestation of abundance, is not the ultimate point. The profound, transformative work that is happening inside you as it arrives, the character being forged, the perspective being refined, the trust being deepened, that, beloved, is the true eternal point. Because God does not simply desire for you to have more. He desires, even more passionately, for you to be the kind of person who can carry more, who can steward greater abundance, without losing your spiritual grounding, without losing your connection to Him, without losing yourself in the process. He is not just opening a financial door to temporary relief. He is simultaneously building in you the rock-solid character, the unwavering integrity, and the divine discernment required to walk through that door and, crucially, to stay, to thrive, and to multiply the blessing for His glory. And when that door finally opens wide, and let it be affirmed, it is opening even now with the gentle turning of its divine key, you will possess an inherent, unshakable knowing. You will understand the profound difference between a blessing prematurely announced for fleeting applause and a blessing wisely guarded, nurtured in the sacred stillness of God's presence. You will know the deep sacred weight of something received in the perfect fullness of its time, unmarred by human impatience, untainted by external pressures. And because of this journey, because of this profound understanding, you will carry it differently, with a wisdom, a grace, and a deep gratitude that you could never have possessed before this pivotal moment. Place your hand on your chest right now and declare this with me, letting the words resonate deeply in your spirit, anchoring this truth into the very core of your being. I release the need to perform my faith for an audience. I release the fear that my blessing will disappear if no one witnesses it. I release the wound that made me seek validation instead of God. I declare that my silence is not doubt, it is discretion. My waiting is not weakness, it is wisdom. I cover what God is forming over my finances with peace, with patience, and with trust. I will not expose what heaven is still protecting. I will not announce what God has not yet released. I walk into this next season as a faithful steward of what has not yet arrived and a grateful receiver of what is already in motion. The provision is coming, the door is opening, and I am in position to receive it in its fullness, undisturbed, unannounced, and completely covered by the hand of the Most High. I am a chosen one, and chosen ones know how to carry a secret until God makes it a testimony. If this word was for you, let me know in the comments with one word: covered. That is your declaration. That is your seal. And if you know someone who is standing at the edge of their breakthrough right now, send them this message. Not with explanation, just send it. Let God do the rest.